My God. People, brace yourselves because what I'm about to spill is not just tea, it's boiling hot, scalding, reputation-destroying tea. Candace Owens has finally said what millions were too scared to whisper out loud. Yes, Meghan Markle's story about Archie's birth doesn't just have cracks. It's got full-blown holes you could drive a royal carriage through. Candace has come forward claiming Meghan has lied. Straight-faced, polished, royal-style lies so bold that once you look at the details, they could change everything we thought we knew. But here's where it gets juicier. This isn't just he said, she said, or some random Twitter rumor. Nope. For the first time, someone from inside, yes, a hospital insider, is breaking the silence. Someone who knows what actually happens behind those velvet-draped closed doors. And honey, let me tell you, these aren't the kind of details you'll find in glossy magazines or those carefully staged Oprah interviews. These are raw, gritty, unfiltered truths, the kind of stuff people only whisper about when the lights are off and the cameras are gone. A royal fairy tale? Forget it. This is a royal nightmare, and Candace Owens just pulled the mask clean off. Fairy tale versus medical reality. So, let's rewind. Harry's memoir, Spare, left readers with a jaw-dropping line. He casually claims Meghan had 2 epidurals, gave birth at Portland Hospital, and the happy couple were back at Frogmore Cottage within just 2 hours. Wait, pause, rewind. Did he seriously say 2 epidurals and home in 2 hours? For anyone with even the faintest clue about childbirth, those words sound like puzzle pieces that don't belong in the same box. It's giving fairy tale fantasy, not real-world labor. Let's break it down. First, the drive from Portland Hospital in London to Frogmore Cottage is about an hour, sometimes longer if traffic is bad. So, if Harry's story is taken literally, Meghan would have had to deliver the baby, recover, pack, and leave, all within 60 minutes. And remember, this is after allegedly having not 1 but 2 epidurals. Now, let's not gloss over that detail. An epidural is not like popping 2 aspirin. It's a full medical procedure requiring observation, monitoring, and time. 2 of them? Impossible doesn't even begin to cover it. But Meghan's contradictions don't stop there. She's given not 1, not 2, but 3 completely different explanations for why the press wasn't notified about Archie's delivery. One time she said it was because they didn't want to block the emergency entrance. Another time she accused the press of racism and said they didn't deserve a photo. And then, oh yes, she also claimed they did notify the press and nobody showed up. Excuse me? Which one is it? Because all 3 versions don't line up. And let's add another twist. Royal protocol. Tradition dictates that the queen must be informed immediately when a royal goes into labor. But guess what? According to this discussion, that didn't happen either. If Meghan was really at Portland with royal protection, that means her own team would have flat-out broken centuries of protocol. Red flag much? From the very first breath of Archie's story, we're swimming in contradictions. And darling, we're only at the beginning. The Portland Hospital illusion. Let's zoom in on Portland Hospital itself. Forget your usual NHS ward with doctors rushing through crowded emergency rooms. Portland is a completely different beast. It's private, it's exclusive, it's dripping in luxury. Chandeliers, flowers, luxury suites. It's the hospital equivalent of a 5-star hotel spa. But here's the kicker. Portland has no emergency department. 0. Instead, it offers specialized units like a neonatal intensive care ward for fragile babies and a critical maternal unit for complicated pregnancies. But if something serious happens beyond those limits, they don't keep you. They transfer you. So yes, it's glamorous, but it's not exactly designed for major crises. Now think about Meghan's alleged 2 epidurals and the rushed 2-hour timeline. Would Portland's setup even support such a whirlwind medical roller coaster? Or is the whole story just a glossy, curated spa version of childbirth? And don't even get me started on the 2 epidurals. If you've ever spoken to a doctor or midwife, you know how ridiculous that sounds. An epidural is a catheter in your spine. Once it's in, doctors just adjust the dosage. That's it. You don't pull it out and start fresh like switching batteries. For Meghan to have 2 epidurals, a doctor would have had to remove the catheter and start over, which is something almost never done mid-labor unless something goes horribly wrong. It's like saying a mechanic installed 2 steering wheels in the same car just to make it run. Insane. And Harry's laughing gas story? He proudly claimed he inhaled all the nitrous oxide that was meant for Meghan. Cute anecdote, right? Wrong. Anecdote. That gas is reserved strictly for the patient under supervision. Hospitals don't leave it lying around like balloons at a kid's birthday party. Either Harry's memory is warped or Portland Hospital ignored its own rules in the most bizarre way. Already, the cracks in this royal fairy tale are glaring. Now let's talk about time, the one thing every single birth demands in abundance. Harry paints this dreamy picture of speed. Baby delivered, bags packed, and boom, they're home within 2 hours. Excuse me? Anyone who's ever stepped foot in a maternity ward knows childbirth is not a drive-through. Even the smoothest natural birth, no complications, no epidural, usually means a mom is monitored for at least a day or 2. Add an epidural into the mix, and that clock stretches longer. Why? Because anesthesia recovery isn't instant. Doctors need to watch for blood pressure swings, mobility issues, unexpected bleeding, all life-threatening if overlooked. And if Meghan had a C-section? Honey, that's surgery. We're talking incisions, stitches, infection risks, the works. Standard recovery, 3 to 4 days minimum before discharge. Anything less is playing roulette with a mother's life. So Harry's 2 epidurals and home in 2 hours line doesn't just sound off, it screams medically impossible. You don't stroll out of surgery like you're leaving a dinner party. And if Meghan was at risk of preeclampsia, as was hinted later, then going home wasn't just unlikely. It was downright dangerous. The spa-style birth now. Here's where it gets chilling. Our hospital insider, yes, someone who actually gave birth at Portland, shared her own horror story. She developed postpartum preeclampsia, and her blood pressure skyrocketed to 230/130. To save her life, doctors put her on magnesium sulfate, a brutal treatment that burns through your veins but keeps seizures at bay. Her condition escalated into HELLP syndrome, an even scarier complication that attacks the liver and blood cells. And let me tell you, she wasn't strolling home 2 hours later. She wasn't glowing in candlelight. She was hooked up to monitors, IV drips, specialists checking her vitals hour by hour. Now contrast that with Harry's fairy tale version. Meghan had a breezy birth, 2 epidurals, then headed home in record time. Doesn't that sound hollow, almost insulting, compared to the raw, lived reality of women who've actually battled preeclampsia? And that's the whole point. Preeclampsia doesn't care about PR. It doesn't pause for a photo op. If Meghan truly had it, Portland's strict medical protocols would have snapped into place. No 2-hour discharges, no fairy tale recoveries, just survival mode, jet setting in recovery. But oh, it gets even messier. Within weeks of Archie's birth, Meghan and Harry weren't tucked away at Frogmore recovering quietly. Nope, they were jet-setting across the globe. Ibiza with Elton John, Paris, Italy, New York for Serena Williams, even Toronto. Think about that. International travel stacked on top of long flights, late nights, and public appearances, all while supposedly recovering from childbirth complicated by preeclampsia. It's the complete opposite of what doctors demand. Proper postpartum care means rest, medical supervision, regular blood pressure monitoring, not champagne toasts in Europe. And yet Harry happily told the press Meghan and Archie were already home the very same day Archie was born. That statement alone clashes violently with what we know about preeclampsia care. Because let's be clear, you cannot treat preeclampsia at home. You cannot wing it. Blood pressure can spike without warning, leading to seizures or strokes in minutes. And what about the signs? Preeclampsia often shows in swelling, hands, feet, face. Meghan's public appearances after birth, only the faintest puffiness in her cheeks. Not conclusive, but it adds another mismatch to the puzzle. At this point, the tension is glaring. Meghan's public recovery looked like a polished PR highlight reel. The medical reality of preeclampsia, a survival story. These two narratives cannot both be true. All right, buckle up, because now we're getting into the tiny details that turn a shaky story into a crumbling castle. Harry, in all his wide-eyed storytelling, says he left the hospital at 2 a.m. to pick up Nando's chicken. Sounds cheeky, right? Cute little midnight craving. Except, oops, there's a problem. First, Portland isn't some basic hospital canteen. It's a luxury setup with 24-hour private chefs at your service. Midnight meals? Done. Customized hot trays? No problem. High tea or chicken wings at 3 a.m.? Honey, that's what you're paying tens of thousands for. Second, and here's the killer, Nando's closes around 11 p.m. So unless Harry knows about some magical after-hours branch no one else has ever seen, his midnight chicken run makes no sense. Where exactly did that chicken come from? Or was this yet another cutesy detail added to make the story sound normal and relatable to the public? And let's not forget the so-called secret elevator. Harry described it like some hidden royal escape route out of Portland Hospital. Dramatic, right? Almost Hollywood-esque. Except our hospital insider, who actually gave birth there, called BS immediately. She said flat out, there is no secret elevator. She remembers being wheeled out through the normal corridors like everyone else. And when the host of the discussion actually called Portland directly to check, staff confirmed the same thing. No secret elevator at all. These may seem like little inconsistencies. A late-night snack here, a hidden lift there. But in a story already packed with impossible timelines and medical contradictions, these small fractures are like cracks in glass. Spread them wide enough, and the entire pane shatters. The doctor disputes. And oh, we're not done yet. There's even confusion about the doctor who supposedly delivered Archie. Initial reports pointed to Dr. Penelope Law, but later, another physician denied she had been involved. One paper apparently failed to verify before publishing, while another dug deeper and corrected it. Now think about that. If the public was told one doctor delivered the royal baby when in fact she didn't, what else was misreported? And more importantly, who fed that false detail to the press in the first place? The miscarriage story. Then there's the emotional bombshell, Meghan's miscarriage. Harry described burying fetal remains at home after the loss. Heartbreaking, right? Except legally, that's not how it works in California. State law treats fetal remains differently if the pregnancy is under 20 weeks, which means Harry's story doesn't line up with how medical handling procedures actually work. And if that wasn't messy enough, Meghan's close friend Abigail Spencer shared a version of events that directly contradicted Harry's own retelling. Two people, supposedly telling the same heartbreaking story, yet their scripts don't match. That's not just fuzzy memory. That's a fracture in the official record. It's like watching two actors on stage, each reading from a completely different script for the same play. Cracks that won't heal. And that's the recurring theme, isn't it? Every time we look closer, more contradictions pop up. From the epidural confusion to the supposed preeclampsia recovery, to the midnight chicken, to the secret elevator, to the doctor dispute, to the miscarriage inconsistencies, this story is stitched together with frayed thread. Candace Owens called it straight. Meghan's story doesn't just have gaps, it's riddled with lies. And when paired against the raw, unfiltered testimony of someone who actually gave birth at Portland, those glossy royal PR lines look like fairy dust over a firestorm. Because let's face it, Archie's birth wasn't just a private family moment. It was presented as a global event, a fairy tale for the world to consume. But when the details don't line up, when the protocols, medical realities, and first-hand accounts scream otherwise, it's not just a private lie, it's a public performance gone wrong, the fallout. And so, here we are, standing at the edge of a crumbling royal fairy tale. If Meghan really had 2 epidurals, why doesn't the medical science match? If she truly faced preeclampsia, why wasn't she under strict hospital care? If the Queen was supposed to be informed immediately, why wasn't she? And if Portland is luxury but not crisis ready, why does Meghan's story read like a spa brochure instead of a medical chart? Each detail, the scented candles, the secret escape routes, the 2-hour discharge, the jet-setting recovery, adds another layer of disbelief. Piece by piece, the puzzle refuses to fit. Candace Owens has branded it all as lies. The Hospital Insider has laid out her lived, painful medical truth. And when you stack them side by side, Meghan's version looks less like a personal testimony and more like a curated PR fantasy. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Archie's birth, it's about trust, about what's said, what's hidden, and how far people will go to shape a narrative. And one thing is crystal clear, something here doesn't add up. The cracks aren't just showing, they're gaping wide open. And when the cracks are this wide, the whole royal fairy tale doesn't just wobble, it collapses.